students, and welcome back to the video lecture series of software engineering. So today's topic is web engineering and CASE, that is computer aided software engineering tools. I am your instructor Ms. Shruti Raval. So let us start with today's outline. So in today's lecture, the things that we are going to study is, the first topic is web engineering. We will study what do you mean by web engineering and why are we following slightly a different process than the conventional software engineering process. The next thing that we are going to study is CASE, that is computer aided software engineering tools. We are going to see what are the CASE tools, we are going to see the components of CASE tools, and we are going to see the building blocks of CASE tools, right. Now let us shift to our first topic, that is web engineering. Now what do you mean by web engineering? Basically web engineering is a systematic approach to the successful development, deployment and maintenance of high quality web based systems and applications, right. So what does this mean? It means that we know that there are different types of application that comes from client to us, right. So there may be a case that the thing that we are going to develop is a web based application. We have already studied client server architecture in the previous lectures, right. So we know that if there is a web based application, there will be a network that is involved, right, and that is a web. So web is involved in which there is a client, for example you have a browser from which you are sending a request. That request goes through the protocol HTTP to the server. Server has the relevant files and the server is sending you the requested resource, right. So this is the basic communication that happens in web based application. Now the process that we follow in software engineering, the conventional process, that is also followed in web engineering, but a little bit in a different way. Why so? Because web based engineering, or you can say, the client is ever changing. All the content on the web is also ever changing. So client is always requesting some sort of changes in the content, some sort of changes in the functionality, which in the conventional software engineering is to a much less extent. So in web engineering we always follow an approach that is iterative and incremental in nature, so that we don't have to deliver everything at once. Instead of this, we deliver everything in incremental. So always in web engineering we will follow an incremental approach that we have already studied in the process model chapter, right. So in the incremental approach we will follow iterative nature. So basically there is also parallel activities that we need to maintain while we are applying web based application processing, because client is requiring the delivery very fast, right. So we have to perform, or we have to make a schedule accordingly, and there must be activities that are running in parallel mode, right. Also in web based engineering, not only the technical staff is involved in the process, but also non-technical staff, that is actually writing the content, or they are actually developing the graphics or video or audio for the web, is also involved, right. So we need to schedule both of the staff, that is technical as well as non-technical staff. So now let us study what is the basic process of web engineering that we need to follow. So for following the web engineering process, you will follow an incremental approach in which you will deliver the functionalities of web application in increments. Okay, there are different types of web applications. For example, there will be a web application that is content oriented, right. So you see e-newspapers, you see informational websites, they all are content oriented web applications which display the contents, right. There are some applications which are, for example, social web. So the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, these all are social web in which the user communicates with each other, right. There are portal based application, which is a whole web portal. It performs many functionalities. Then there are applications like transaction oriented applications, B2B consumer, B2C applications, right. So these all are the different web application types. Now every web application type has major characteristic that the content of web application is ever changing. So we need to apply those changes on the web application, as well as there is a tight schedule on web application, because client is requesting the functionalities very fast. So when you are following a web engineering process, the first phase of web engineering is known as formulation. Now this formulation is similar to objective identification, or you can say requirement analysis phase in our software engineering, but in formulation for web engineering we will be concerned about some of the questions related to web application, that is why are we developing this web application, what is the main aim, what are the targeted users. So these are the questions that we will ask while we are in formulation phase. The main thing that we will develop in formulation phase is the scope of web application, because we need to clearly understand what are the boundary conditions and what will be the functionalities that we will include in web application and what is the functionality that we will exclude. The next phase after formulation in a web application is planning. Right. So there are a number of things that you need to plan while you are developing a web application. One of the thing is project cost, that is what will be the overall cost for developing your web application, right? It will include all the resources, that is hardware, software, human resources. If you are using the storage in web, then it will also include the storage cost. If you are purchasing the domain, it will also include the domain cost, right? So the overall web application cost comes under the planning. The next thing that planning includes is basically the risk analysis. Okay, because we are developing a web application, so it is vulnerable to attack. So the main risk for developing web application is security. So we need to analyze what is the extent to which we will maintain security in our web application. Apart from security also, there are a number of risks that can be associated with web applications. You have to develop a risk identification table, you have to prioritize the risk, and you have to check that what are the risks that you will maintain or you will proactively perform the risk analysis. The next thing that you will include in planning phase in web application is schedule. Okay, so you will have two sort of schedule. The first schedule that you will develop is for the first increment, right? Because the client wants the first increment very fast. So the first schedule will be granulated schedule, and the second schedule will be a detailed schedule of all the later increments, right? So there will be two schedule in web application that you will develop. The next phase is known as analysis phase. In analysis phase, you will basically analyze everything that is related to web application, starting from the requirements of client, that is what are the functionalities that you have to accommodate, right? So there will be a proper you can say outlook that a client wants, so you will decide what sort of outlook we will apply, right? All the content that has to be displayed on your web application is identified in analysis, that is collected in analysis phase, and you are scrutinizing that what are the contents that you will actually display on the web application and what is the content that is ignored or that is not included in your web application. The next phase in web engineering is engineering. Okay, so this engineering phase includes two parallel activities. The first activity is performed by the non-technical staff, whereas the second parallel activity is performed by the technical staff. Let us see both of them. So here you can see the first activity that is performed by the non-technical staff is content design and content production. So we will appoint some of the non-technical staff who will write the content for our web application. Also they will make, it means if there are some images to be made, there are some graphics to be made, right? So that our aesthetic or the user interface of our web application is eye-soothing and eye-catchy. So all these is handled by the non-technical staff, and that is one of the activity that is applied in the engineering phase. The next parallel activity that is performed by the technical staff is the actual designing, right? So you need to develop an overall architecture for your web application. So what is the overall architecture of the web application? Overall architecture of the web application includes all the layout, right? It means the user interface, how it will look, what are the different modules that you will include while developing the web application, how will these modules interact with the with each other, what is the database that you will use, where you will store, either you are using cloud storage or you are using dedicated storage, what sort of application it is, either it is client server application, distributed database system, So these all things will be decided, and such an architecture will be designed in the architecture design phase, or you can say an activity. The next is navigation design. So navigation is one of the most important activity while you are in the web application, because we know that navigation should be smooth and it should be smart. It means I don't need to think while I am navigating on a web application, right? User must not be confused while he or she is navigating from one page to another. So navigation design of your web application must be on priority while you are in the engineering phase, right? And the last is interface design, that is the actual user interface will be designed. So what will your home page look like, what will your about us page look like, what will your contact us page look like? If you are developing a social web application, how will the users communicate with each other, what will be the comment text box look like, right? After your engineering phase is completed, then comes your page generation and testing. It means you have now decided what is the content of your web application, you have already designed the architecture, navigation and user interface. Now you will actually implement all the pages of your web application, that you will perform the actual coding, right? Normally the web application languages include HTML, CSS, JavaScript on the client side. It can include any server side language like Java, .NET, PHP, etc. right? So these all are the languages that are used while developing the pages of web application. So after coding, what is performed? Obviously after coding, testing is performed. Rigorous testing of navigation is performed, rigorous testing of aesthetic is performed, rigorous testing of content is performed, right? We have already seen in the testing chapter that web application testing, right? We have also seen what are the different testing criteria for testing web applications. You may recall that in that chapter, right? So all the testing that are related to web application is performed after the coding is done, right? So that is the phase, that is page generation and testing. And the last phase of, you can say, web application is customer evaluation. So after you have deployed your web application on web, the customer will actually use this web application in real life and he or she may give you feedback, right? So that feedback will be also for the incremental delivery that you have done. For example, if you have delivered the first increment, customer will say what are the loopholes or what are the errors in the first increment, what needs to be rectified and what should be included into the next increment. So all these activities are performed in the last phase, that is customer evaluation. So this was all about web engineering. Okay, now the next topic of today's lecture is computer aided software engineering, that is also in short form known as CASE. Now what do you mean by a CASE? CASE is nothing but it is a tool, or you can say it is a set of tools which is a generic term and it is used to denote any form of automated software engineering task. We know that there are number of different software engineering activities that are performed in different phases of software engineering, right? We know that there are different phases, like you have communication, you have planning, you have designing, you have coding, you have testing, you have maintenance. So these are the major phases of software engineering, and there are different, you can say, numerous tasks that are performed in software engineering in these respective phases. Now if you want to perform this task automatedly, it means if you want to eradicate the manual interruption and you want the task to be performed by some tool, then there are number of tools available in the market, and that tools are known as computer aided software engineering tools, right? So it means you are automating some of the activities, or you can say all of the activities of software engineering or software development. Now what is the reason for automating software activity? The main reason is obviously the reduction in time, right? Because if you are performing any activity with the manual help, right? For example, if you are doing testing manually, then the tester will have to do everything on his own, right? So that will take a longer amount of time. Instead of that, you have different testing tools that are a part of case tools. If you perform testing by applying these tools, then the script will be automated and the testing will be performed automatically, and it will give you bugs or the list of bugs automatically, right? So that will have a reduction in your development time. Also, apart from reducing the time, you will increase the productivity, right? Because you are reducing the time of software activity. So that time that you have saved, that you will actually have for developing the software quality wise, right? So you will have more time for quality analysis. So that will in turn increase your productivity and increase your quality. Also, it will again help to develop a quality software at a lower cost, right? So these all are the reasons why you will use computer aided software engineering tools, right? Now let us see case building blocks. Now what do you mean by case building blocks? Case building blocks is also related to integrated computer aided software engineering tools. It means that I've told you that there are a number of tasks in software engineering and you can automate every task in software engineering, right? So what are the tools that you will use? There are a number of tools. You may use many of the tools in your particular project. So if they want to communicate with each other, because if you, for example, one of the tool is for testing, so you are automating the testing. The second tool is for process model, so you are developing a process model using the case tool. The next tool is for risk analysis, so you are developing a risk table, identifying the risk, prioritizing the risk automatically using the case tool. So you have different number of tools for case. Now because it is a single project, I want consistency and I want interaction between these tools, right? So if you have an environment in which these tools can communicate with each other flawlessly, then that is known as case building blocks. So for this, the first thing that you need is an environment architecture. That is the building block, or you can say the base of your case environment. What do you mean by environment architecture of case? Environment architecture includes the hardware as well as the software systems that is required for communication between case, right? So the operating system that you will be using, all the hardwares that you will be using, all the database system that you are using, networking system that you are using, object management services that you are using, right? So all this consists of your environment architecture for developing, or you can say, interaction between the case. Now the next building blocks of case is the case tool itself, that is sitting on the topmost block, and below it is integration framework. Now what do you mean by integration framework? Integration framework is set of activities, or you can say it is a set of systems which allow the case tool to interact with each other, and so that the developer who is actually using the case tool feel that all the case tools are interrelated. That is not the case, right? Because we are using case tools which are from different vendors, but we want that they should communicate in such a way that we don't feel that there is some sort of interface issues between them, right? So there must be a common database from which the case tool are taking the data. So for that there are some rules and regulations which each vendor is following for developing the case tool, so seamlessly all the case tool can integrate or communicate with each other, right? Risk management tool can communicate with testing tool can communicate with requirement analysis tool. That is using an integration framework, okay. And the next building block is portability service. Portability service is basically the service that allows your case tool as well as the integration framework to be portable. That is, if you want to use this case tool and this integration framework across different hardware or across different operating system, portability service will allow you so. So you will not feel any difference if you are changing the operating system or hardware using your case tool and integration framework. So that is what portability service is all about, right? So these all are the building blocks for case environment. So basically case tools are divided into three categories. Uppercase tool are the tools that are used for planning, requirement analysis and designing. So till designing phase, all the tools that you use for automating your software engineering activity comes under uppercase tools. Lowercase tools are all the case tools that you use after designing, that is coding, testing and maintenance, right? So these all are the tools. If you use these case tools, they are the lowercase tool, and all the tools combined are known as ICASE, that is integrated computer aided software engineering tools, and they can communicate with each other using these building blocks, right? Also, it is possible that if you don't want number of tools to be used in your project, and if you want a single point tool, right? For example, if you are only concerned about the software metric calculation and you are using only one case tool in your software project, it is okay. Then you don't need an integrated environment so that the tools communicate, because you are using only one tool. So single-handedly also case tool can work, integratedly case tool can work, right? So you have either option. Now let us see what are the different categories of case tools that you can use. So the first thing that is important while you are using integrated case tool is a central repository, right? Because I told you that I want a seamless integration between different case tools, right? So I must have a central repository which consists of all the data. So it consists of all the documents, all the data. It acts as a data dictionary from which all the case tool takes the data, right? So whether it is the requirement specification, whether it is the testing or documentation, whether it is the design documentation, all the case tool acquire the data from a central repository. So the first tool is project management tool. In project management tool, you are able to create a project, you are able to create the task that are included in your project, right? You are able to select any process model. For example, if you are using incremental model or you are using spiral model, you are able to assign individual person to the task that they will perform. You are able to maintain the schedule. So these all are the things that are included in project management tool, right? So Jira, okay, Jira is one of the main project management tool that is used widely in software industry. You may go through Jira. There are number of cloud-based project management tool that are available freely. You can go through that at your home, right? The next is document tool. Now this, we know that documentation starts even before you have started the designing of your software, right? Starting from the requirement analysis phase, or you can say when you are deciding the objective of your software, you will have a document that is known as an objective document, right? So if you want to make document faster, you have different sort of document tools that are available. You can use those document tools which will reduce your time, right? Instead of using normal Word, you can go for these document tools which have different functionalities, which makes your you can say work faster. The next is analysis tool. Now analysis tool is a general term, but there are different categories in analysis tool. If you want to analyze any inconsistency in your document, if you want to analyze any inconsistency in your source code, if you want to analyze any inconsistency or error in your test case, there are tools that are available who will automatically derive the inconsistency in your particular documents, right? So these all are the analysis tool that you may use. Also requirement analysis tools are available who will scrutinize the requirement, what are the requirements that are in priority. So these all sort of analysis also can be done. The next is design tools. So we know that if you are designing a software, there will be different modules of the software. The modules will be having communication between them, right? So design tools allow you to have a look that what will be the modules, how will be they communicating with each other. So that is sort of designing tool that you may use, right? Also there are different configuration tools. Configuration, we know that it is known as change management, right? So if you are performing software configuration activity in your software, So you will have different versions of your software, you will have different configuration items in your software, you will have that items changed in different version. So I need to maintain every configuration items change in respective version, so that version management, change control, everything can be automatized using this configuration tool. I have already discussed this, that which are the tools that helps you for configuration management. GitHub is one of the online tool that you can go through for version control and configuration management for your software project. The next is programming tools. Obviously, if you are developing any code, you need programming tools, right? For example, you are using integrated development environment, like for example, for coding in Java, you are using NetBeans or Eclipse. So these all are known as the programming tools. All the compilers, editors, everything comes under programming tools. They actually give you an environment in which you can code and execute your code, right? The next set of tool is prototype tool. Now prototype tool is basically when you are following a prototyping model, you want a rough simulation that how your software will actually work or how it will look. Then you can use this prototyping tool for seeing the outlook of the of your software. For example, if you are developing a website, you may use this prototype tool in which you can see that how will it look from navigating from one page to another, what will be the components, web components that you will use in a particular page, how my about us page will look like, what will be the content that I will use in it. So all these simulation can be used or that can be depicted using prototype tool. The next is quality assurance tool. Now if you want to analyze the quality, you can use quality assurance tool that are available, okay, and this quality assurance tool can calculate the project metrics, they can calculate the process metrics and give you that whether you are going into the right direction or not based on these calculation, right? The next is drawing tool, or you can say diagram tool. We know that while requirement analysis phase, you have to develop certain diagrams, right? So that diagrams can be either procedural oriented or object oriented. You have different diagram tools that will help you. They have symbols. For example, if I want to draw a use case diagram, I know the main symbol is an actor, the connector and the use case itself, right? So if I am using a diagram tool, I will directly have those symbols. I can quicker develop diagrams using those diagram tools instead of developing the diagrams in Word or Paint or PPT, right? So these are the tools that you can use for developing your diagrams, right? The next tool is process tool. Now process tool also is a tool which helps you for you can say maintaining the process model that you have chosen, whether the process model is correct according to the requirement or not, right? So that comes under your process tool. Apart from this, also there are number of tools, like you have risk management tools which helps you to identify what are the risks in your software. They will also prioritize your risk based on the risk identification table. All the checklist, that is risk item checklist that you have, that can be automated, right? You have different testing tools that you will be using while you are testing in the testing phase, right? So there are a number of software engineering case tools that you can use for automating every software engineering activity that you perform in software, right? So yes, this was all about today's lecture. Thank you for watching.